Bye-bye.
Interlock, that is, you interlock the two.
Now stretch them right as...
Soccer, and the...
Quiet, please. In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
I felt like a reptile. Like a reptile. I felt like a reptile.
We're cooking. Wicked. Hello, everybody. So because I had to cut the podcast short yesterday, I didn't get to any of the Twitter questions, and I did get loads of Twitter questions. So I thought I'm going to just rattle through a few of those today before I start packing my suitcase for Russia this weekend, because I got some really good questions. So, who is the next opponent for Khalil Roundtree after that tremendous performance? I was thinking about this. The first one that makes sense, especially because they're in the same kind of training camp cycle because they were on the same card. Nikita Krylov, who beat Ovin Sempru, he's just crept into the top 15. Obviously, Misha Serkinov's right inside the top 15 as well, so that would be a good fight. I would personally just like to see him fight Jimmy Manuwa, though. I mean, can you imagine that? Khalil Roundtree, Jimmy Manuwa. Kickboxing extravaganza with the heavy hands and kicks. That's what I'd go for. That was from CFR Sports. Thank you. Is it time to stop champs jumping up and down for a chance to win a second belt until they've cleared out the division? See, I already kind of feel like Holloway's almost cleared out the division. Like, if he goes back down to featherweight now, I mean, he's never fought Frankie Edgar, and that'd be a fight I'd like to see. Hanato Moicano's kind of floating around there. Zabit's on his way up as well. If Volkanovski beats Aldo, that's the one that makes sense to me, but if Aldo wins that one, which he may well because he's looking fantastic at the moment, then do we want to see Aldo fight Holloway a third time? I'd rather see Holloway at 55. You know, he's going to grow into the belt. I have had a few questions about that as well, which I'll touch on later. That was from Jon Jones, Carlito Heat. Pretty sure you've sent us a message on Inside the Octagon or something before. I recognise that name. Okay, Hugo, Fighting in Life. Do you think the next step for 155 division is Khabib Dustin, Conor Nate, or Tony Justin? Well, I think the projection is that Khabib and Dustin are going to fight in September. So I'm hoping we have a couple more high-level lightweight fights before then. And I hope we get to see Justin Gaethje get another run out before then. I mean, he's looking so strong at the moment. Let's just have I'm pulling up the lightweight rankings now. Yeah, I mean, we've got the other big fight coming up. Obviously, Kevin Lee's just stepped up to welterweight. I don't know whether he's planning on coming back down or not, but Donald Cerrone's fighting Uriah Quinter coming up. I'd like to see the winner of that fight, Justin Gaethje. We don't know what the situation with Tony Ferguson is. We don't know how long he's going to be out. He needs to get medically cleared, I think, before he's cleared for fight. So, I don't know. I think we might see Justin Gaethje against the winner of the Cowboy Uriah Quinter fight. And that would be awesome. Is Max too small for lightweight? This is what I was talking about. Josh Barker. I don't think so. No, I just think people need to grow into the weight class. You know, Kelvin Gastelum's no smaller for middleweight than Max Holloway is for lightweight. And there's only 10 pounds difference between those two weight classes. It's when they start climbing up and it's 15 pounds and 20 pounds difference that guys start to really look small. I don't think Max looks small. And I think, perspectives are all dependent on the outcome of the fight as well. If Max had won, people would have said he looked huge at the weight. It's one of those kind of things. Baha, how much did size actually play a role in the main event? The narrative was being pushed that Dustin is bigger and therefore hits harder than Max, which ignores his skills and the fact that Max is trying to walk through punches. Not the best game plan. I don't know honestly, because I felt like Max looked slower at the weight class. But I don't know whether that was because he took such a beating in the first round. I mean, that can definitely slow people down and fatigue their brain, if you like. So I don't know. I mean, we might need to see Max again a couple of times at lightweight before we really see, how he's transitioned. I feel like his hands are going to be heavier at that weight class when he grows into it, and I feel like his conditioning is always going to be good because of the way he trains. Yeah, I don't know. That was such a bad first round for him. It's really difficult to judge the rest of the rest of the fight, dependent on weight for me. Does Max have a future at lightweight? Yes, I think he does. I think it makes sense that he's going to have to move to lightweight at some point. If Racy Emu. I see it now. It took me a minute. If you locked Gaethje and Khabib in a phone box with the keys sellotaped to the ceiling, who'd make it out alive? Well, I think that Khabib would be the first one to level change, which means that Gaethje would be lifted up to the ceiling first, and he will be able to grab the key. And then I think Gaethje's got heavy enough hands to even be able to knock somebody out in a phone box. So my money's on Gaethje. I'm telling you, he's my wild card to win the lightweight title off Khabib. Obviously, I want to see Poirier take him on first, but I don't know. MMA math doesn't work. I know Poirier beat Gaethje, and so therefore Poirier should be able to beat Khabib if Gaethje can beat Khabib, but I don't know. Styles make fights, and I feel like Gaethje's style of wrestling and style of brawling and the heaviness of his single punch power, which I don't really think we've seen from Poirier. It's not easy to say. So yeah, I hope I answered your question. Next one is from Enzo Macronelli. Shout out to Enzo Macronelli. What a boxer. I used to love watching his fights. Do you think Gastelum regrets not going for the finish instead of the takedown at the end of the fourth round? Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be kicking himself for that. It's a weird thing though. I've done it myself. You can watch it in the Mike Swick fight. Caught him with a big left hook, and I saw him kind of start doing the dance, and he starts reeling backwards, so I chase him down. I've got a grin on my face, and as I get close to him, I throw a couple of punches, and then I level changed. And by the time I was in on the takedown and got my hands together, I was like, what the fuck am I doing this for? It's weird. It's like a short circuit in the brain. I don't know why it is. It's when you close distance, you know that you're either going to clash face to face or you've got a level change. Yeah, I don't know. Something for me to work on, perhaps. Early predictions for Stylebender v Whittaker. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how Whittaker is. I don't know how healthy he is. I don't know how soon he's going to be able to come back. I don't really have any details on that. I mean, Stylebender looks amazing, and we've seen him come back from adversity. We've seen him take big shots now. I mean, I'd lean slightly towards Whittaker just because I've seen him beat Romero twice, and I'm not sure Stylebender could beat Romero. But who knows? Who knows? Max looks around the same way. No, I've already answered that one. How did you score the Max Dustin fight? I think 49-46 times 3 was a bit one-sided. I understand where you're coming from with that. My reply to it would be that you can win 49% of one round, and if you lose that other 59% and it goes to the judges' scorecards and every round is judged like that, I mean, you can only just squeeze by and win 4 rounds, and it could be a very, very close fight. But if you've clearly won each one of those rounds at the end of the round, it's a weird thing to judge a fight. I think it is anyway. It's much more of a boxing model to judge it per round, because then it brings like a sporting mentality into it, which is why we see people going for takedowns at the end of rounds and stuff, because it's like, get ahead on the judges' scorecards. Like the old school MMA mentality, the old school UFC mentality from the early days when there weren't any time limits, is that they were just fighting to get the finish. And wherever the fight went, they were always looking for the finish. There wasn't really necessarily a thought for the judges' scorecards. And there are some fighters that still fight like that now. Like Gunnar Nelson, something he said when I was interviewing him before his last fight. And it was a question about whether he is conscious of the judges' scorecards and thinks about, getting ahead on the scorecards at the end of the round, level changing, getting a takedown, stealing points and those kind of things. And Gunnar said, I would rather spend that extra 30 seconds getting a read on my opponent for the next round instead of trying to think about what the judges are concerned with. And it just stuck in my head, and I thought to myself, that's perfect. It's beautiful, because that's the way that I see a fight. I see a fight in its entirety. And that's not the right way of scoring, which is why I've been and done Mark's judging and refereeing course, so I know the structure in which the sport's viewed in now. It's although it is a fight, it's not judged as a fight, if you like. So yeah, I kind of like the old pride scoring. Pride used to score heavier towards the fighter that was finishing stronger, and they also had a 10-minute round to start with. So, you can really get a good fight going in the first 10 minutes. Then you get a little sit down and a break, and then you get to go for another 5 minutes, and then the judges make their decision. But if you have a fairly consistent 10 minutes and then you fight hard in that last 5, you'll steal the round. You'll steal the fight. Who is Stylebender's worst matchup from Fitz MMA? I think Weidman. I think Owen put it perfectly on when we were recording the podcast yesterday. I think Weidman's designed to beat Anderson Silva, and there are so many similarities with Anderson Silva and the way that he approaches the fight, the way that he keeps people on the outside, not by doing a great deal, but by having the potential to do something devastating that they have not seen coming. And because Adesanya's got those nice feints and he plays that game so well, it needs someone like Chris Weidman that's quite happy to close distance, come crashing forward, take a couple of shots, and just get his hands on him. And whether that's, punching a hole in his fucking chest, as Ray Longo said, or taking him down, I think, I think that might be the right game plan. I've seen a couple of replies here. I know Fitz, you agreed that Romero is, and I agree Romero could definitely be. My thought is that if Adesanya can win, get through the first 2 rounds and not get caught with something powerful, then he can really start to edge forward on the scorecards, because we do see Romero slow down a bit. Whereas, Weidman, I think he's aggressive with his game plan, whereas Romero can kind of lay back and let the fight get away from him a bit. That's a big question. I think I might have to give that one some thought. If we did a Grand Prix for the 165-pound division, who are the 8 fighters you think should participate, and who do you believe would come out as the inaugural champ? #Full Reptile Radio. Mugiwara Papi. Thank you. I'm going to have to give that some thought. I think I might have to stick a pin in that. I think I might have to look at the rankings in both divisions. Give that some thought. I'd still go for 162 though, so it's right in between the 2 weight classes. Because 165 is 10 pounds off lightweight and 5 pounds off welterweight. If we do 162, then that pound allowance in between, that's the halfway point between the 2. And I think that's a good stopping point between the 2. You could quite easily get someone defending 2 belts, being 7 pounds apart. Okay, so we will come back to that one. Thank you. Can Stylebender really challenge Jon Jones at 205? I don't think so. If you look at the size difference, and when I saw Gastelum step into the octagon against Adesanya, I was surprised how big Adesanya looked in comparison. But then if you stand Jon Jones next to Adesanya looks definitely like a middleweight. Jon Jones is huge. He makes some heavyweights look small. And the reach advantage that Adesanya had over Gastelum is nowhere near any kind of advantage with Jon Jones. 84.5-inch reach. I can't remember what Adesanya's is. Like 79-inch reach or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember what it is. It was a decent bit more than Gastelum, but compared to Jon Jones, it's a different thing entirely. And it's difficult to play that game that he plays with everybody else when you've got someone that's much bigger than you. Do you think it would make sense to have the featured bout of the prelims as a 5-rounder as well? I've not thought about that. I don't know. Maybe just add a bonus round, and if it's a close fight, be quite nice. We'll go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. If they haven't decided, we'll go to sudden death. That could be cool. I've not thought about that. It might drag out the night, though. Putting those 5-rounders early on in the night, some of those 3-rounders can drag out. Looking back at your title fight against GSP all these years later, what do you recall was that special about him and yourself on that night? I was just stubborn. That was what was about me on the night. I was stubborn. I'd had a long 14-week training camp. I'd had everybody tell me I was going to lose. I'd lost my grandfather in that training camp, so I was in a kind of a angry, I'm against the world kind of place, which paid off. I nearly lost a limb in the process, but I was just stubborn. But GSP's, one of the greatest. There are a lot of things that make him so good. The way he stays calculated and present in a fight was something that I was never great at. I always like to scrap a little bit. GSP was very, very analytical, and his team around him were very analytical. As an athlete, he was a standout athlete. The way he prepared, his dedication was unbelievable. I spent time in 3 of his training camps, and I was really impressed with the way he approached everything. I think on the night, the thing that made the difference was his ability to chain his takedowns together. And with me having no real background in wrestling, it was difficult for me to keep up. The guys that I'd been defending takedowns against all the way through my career were guys that shot a lazy double leg and then tried to pull guard. So I was able to stay on top and work ground and pound in a lot of those positions. But against GSP, he had this wicked 3-hit combo. He'd come in for a double leg, then he'd switch to the single leg, and then he'd go to a knee tap. And it was that 3-hit combination that he could just interchange in any way so quickly. Yeah. I love those people that say, you just stand up. Just stop him. We have guys coming to the gym. There was a guy came into the gym the other week, and he's not working any grappling. He's got an MMA fight coming up. He's not working any grappling because he'll just stop him. All right, mate. What's the best MMA-related speech you know of? I don't know of any MMA-related speeches that are good. I always like listening to Bas Rutten when I'm training. It always makes me laugh. I used to have a Bas Rutten, it was like a kickboxer size kind of. It was rounds. It was rounds of Bas Rutten going, and a 1, 2. I'll have to find it. It was hilarious. It was on my old iPod. And a sprawl, and knee, and 1, 2. And that was my warm-up. I'd do 5-5s of that. And he always used to get me in the zone. Bas Rutten did. I know he's a fan of Inside the Octagon as well, which is sweet. What are your thoughts on interim titles? Can a fighter who has won one still class them as a UFC champion? I'm probably going to upset a lot of people here. It's not my intention. An interim title holder calling themselves a champion is like someone that won a fight in the Ultimate Fighter calling themselves a UFC fighter. It's not quite the same. It's almost the same, but it's not quite the same. There are some circumstances where the interim champion's respected just as much as the champion would be, and we genuinely don't know who the better fighter is. But I don't know. If somebody else out there's got the belt, then there's a world champion, and it's not the interim champ. I'm afraid. Dustin Poirier will prove himself against Khabib, I'm sure, but until that stage, he will always be interim champ, and I'm not a massive fan of interim champions. Yeah, I know I'll upset somebody there. I'm gonna get some shit on my Twitter tomorrow for that. Will we ever see Khabib against Tony? I would love to. I just don't know. I don't have all the answers. What else have we got? I've answered a lot of these questions. Who would you think would be the best matchup for Till if he moves up to middleweight? Yeah, I agree. Him and Stylebender, I think that would be an interesting one. I don't know who wins that. I think Darren would need a few fights at middleweight to settle into the division. And I think there's some interesting ones at middleweight for him. Someone like Elias Theodorou would be a good one. Someone that's got good footwork, moves a lot. Someone that's not a huge middleweight. I don't know. Let me have a quick look at the rankings. I always have the rankings page pulled up on my phone because I refer to it about 20 times a day. Right, where are we? Top 15. Yeah, Elias Theodorou, number 14. Uriah Hall, number 13, would be a good one. Brad Tavares would be a good fight for him. Another guy that's kind of caught between weight classes. Anderson Silva's at 15. Imagine that. Darren Till, Anderson Silva in Rio. Get it booked. Get that booked. I'll take 10%. When am I making my long-awaited comeback? I've had 3 of those questions. When is there time? I'm literally cutting things short to run off to do other things. So I'm gonna have to leave you right now. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to go and start packing my bag for Russia. So I'm not answering that question. I'm diverting. Did you see that? Whew, swerved it. Still in the back of my mind. Been at the gym recently. I'm moving, feeling good. Bit old, a lot of grey hair coming through, but you never know. There are some old guys out there that still like a fight. Maybe I can pick up one of those. What have I got to tell you before I leave? Alistair Overeem against Olenek this weekend. Very unfortunately, we did do an Inside the Octagon for this main event, but it was Alistair Overeem against Alexander Volkov. And like 2 days after the show was recorded, the fight was changed to Olenek. So I've not done a breakdown for it. I'm not going to give you a prediction because I'm working the card alongside Johnny G's and the one lung Irish dragon Paul Felder. I will say this though, Olenek has got very linear movement. He's very kind of follow you, walk you down, kind of plod forward, a bit Keith Jardine like actually, in the way that he moves. Difficult to get his timing. If he works his way into a clinch, which I don't think Alistair Overeem will mind too much, given the fact he's got great Muay Thai knees. That's when it starts to get interesting because that's where Olenek starts to work that Ezekiel choke. But then again, Alistair Overeem's got no neck and he's a good grappler as well. So getting that on him is going to be a real challenge. I don't know what version of Alistair Overeem is going to come out. If he comes out very aggressive, then I think we could get an early stoppage one way or another. Someone's going to run into the other one. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get the Overeem that kind of played the game against JDS a little bit. Backed up, moved away, started to get Olenek to get frustrated and start chasing him down and then catch him with a counter shot. That's going to be the danger for Olenek in this one. Yeah, and Antonina Shevchenko's on the card as well. That's going to be a good one. There's some really good fights on this card. There's loads of challenging names. My goodness, I've got a whole list of them on my phone in my notes, and I keep practicing them. Let me just tell you who else I'm excited about. Oh yeah, Rafael Fiziev is making his UFC debut. 6-0, Phuket top team. He's like a little powerhouse Thai boxer, dangerous. Who else have we got? Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, he's on the card. That's going to be a really interesting one. Alex De Silva is making his debut against Alexander Yakovlev. He's 20-1. Really interesting fighter. Quite elementary on the feet, kind of a bit cumbersome, very awkward. Got interesting rubber guard skills and uses elbows really well from guard. So I'm excited for that one. And there was another one I wanted to tell you about. Where is he? Yeah, Arman Sarukian. He's co-main event taking on Islam Makhachev. So Makhachev's 16-1. Just, another version of Khabib. A very, very dangerous fighter. Good everywhere. Probably better striker than Khabib. And he's taking on this newcomer, Arman Sarukian. I hope I'm saying his name right. He's got loads of cool spinning attacks, spinning kicks, just heavy top game wrestling, good ground and pound. He's got powerful lead hand, just worth checking out. That's the co-main event. So I will see you. I'll be on the call. Make sure you tuned in, and thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've answered some of your questions. See you next time.